Right, it says. Hi guys, it's Nick here. Right, today I'm doing something a little bit different. I've got Tom with me here, so we're going to have a chat about reselling in the UK. So if you're one of my subscribers, no doubt you'll already know Tom and you probably subscribe. But for those who don't know who Tom is, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Yeah, sure. My name's Tom. Got the YouTube channel Tom the English Picker, and I go out and buy different bits and pieces, and much like Nick, and resell them on eBay and Amazon. So been doing it now for since 2007. So yeah, a fair while, sort of on and off. But yeah, I do it full time. So yeah, it's cool.
Cool. What I thought I'd start off with is we were just chatting about this off air. Since I started doing videos, there's been loads and loads of guys and girls coming on who are pretty much new to the reselling thing, and they're asking lots and lots of questions and advice about it. So, as a full-time reseller, what general advice would you give someone trying to get into this or just starting out now?
Um, I would start selling stuff in your own house first. That's kind of how I started. Just looking around and finding bits. I mean, I'd avoid starting selling DVDs and things like that because that's what a lot of people do, and they get a bit disheartened when things only sell for 99p. But yeah, I'd look at stuff. Electronics is good. Old phones, stuff like that. They sell really good. And just dip your toe in the water and have a go part time for a while, and see if it's for you, because it's not for everybody. You've got to have a certain type of mentality, and it's always easier to buy stuff than it is to sell it. As the horde behind me will show you, the pile of shame, as I call it, of unlisted products. But yeah, just pick I'd pick a subject that maybe interests you, something that if you don't end up selling the products, you're not begrudged to keep hold of them, and just go from there. Really, that's kind of my tips. Really, I mean, I don't know what you think about that, Nick.
Yeah, I think it certainly helps if you're selling something that you've got an interest in anyway. I mean, my background is in music and gaming and all of that, which is kind of how I got into this. And then I'm kind of known for doing board games, and I'm into board games anyway, so it's something that I have a passion for, and I think that really helps, because if you're going to be going out hunting for all this stuff, it really helps if you've got some knowledge on it already and a bit of an interest in a subject. I think that helps keep your interest up, I guess.
Yeah, because I mean, for me personally, when I started buying clothes, and I've never been the type of person to want to go to the high street shops and get the newest type of clothes. I've always been there, go to a charity shop and that'll do, or just something a bit quirky. So I bought all these clothes, and then they never really interested me. So I was never enthused enough to list them on eBay, because I was just thinking, oh, it seemed more of a chore than. But then if it's something that you're interested in, then you're more willing to list it. And I think also that comes across in your listings, are the people who are passionate about something. It's more apparent, and I think the customer can relate to you better if you put that in your listings.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you can describe it well, and you know what terms to use, and you know what a collector's going to be interested in. I mean, I've been a collector all my life anyway. I used to collect postcards and cigarette cards, so I do well listing that sort of stuff, because you're in the right mindset, because you know the subject, so you know what to mention and how to describe it, and it really, really helps. I mean, talking about clothing, we have that's a big part of what we do, but my wife has taken all of that on, because it was just so obvious that, exactly like you, I have very little interest in clothing beyond my retro t-shirts. I couldn't give a toss what I wear. So yeah, I found that difficult. I mean, it's a really great market, but you're dead right that if you don't have a passion or an interest in the subject, it's really hard work, isn't it, to find the stuff and to list it. um,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's a good tip. Start with stuff you're passionate about, for sure.
But there is a danger, as you're very well displaying today, that if you are passionate in the area, that quite often you end up keeping the items that you buy. So you might buy a t-shirt and then decide to keep it. So yeah, that is dangerous as well. So you got to sort of balance it.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I said, I used to be a really big collector and almost a hoarder, with my collections. But since I started doing this full time, the kind of hoard I have has kind of taken over that, and I don't collect anymore because it's kind of my day job now, and it's kind of killed my passion for collecting. I kind of
Yeah.
replaced that with this huge collection of random stuff. So, but yeah, the T-shirt is cool. I did decide to keep this one. I couldn't really sell it. It's so me. It's Transformers and it's Back to the Future. It's 80s retro. So yeah, had to keep that one.
I think that's right. I think I'm a hoarder deep down, and I think by doing this, you satisfy that hoarding side of yourself, but then you're making money. So it's almost like you're not renting them, but they're part of your life for a short amount of time. You can maybe enjoy them, looking at them or whatever, and then it's gone, and then new stuff comes in, and it's always fresh and always changing. So it's quite nice.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the collector in me, the person who wants to go out and buy another 100 CDs, the person who wants to go out and buy every version of Monopoly I can find, it really drives my business because you have to have that passion to collect, essentially, I think, to really want to get up at 6 in the morning on Saturday and Sunday and go out there and do this. If finding the stuff was a chore, I would never be doing this. I enjoy finding it, and I think that's a big part, certainly a big part of what I do.
Yeah.
Um,
I think that easily comes across in the videos of yours as your passion, but people don't see the side of things like you've put, where it's a muddy field and you've got a trolley and it falls over and stuff comes spilling out and then you're covered in crap, and yeah, you don't see that side of things, but it's your passion that gets you through that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I don't know if we talked about this in the video we did last time, but I do want to kind of stress to people how much work is involved in this business. It's not quick and it's not easy, and I'm sure I've mentioned it before. When I show a haul of stuff, it doesn't really reflect how many hours work it took me to find it, and how cold it was in that field, and all of the sometimes the stress that can go along with finding it. I mean, I love going out and finding stock, but at the same time, it's really hard work, and people need to be prepared for the amount of work that's involved in finding the stuff. Definitely.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Otherwise, a few friends of mine have sort of gone into buying and selling stuff, and they've easily got burnt out because they've tried to do too much too quickly, and I think that's always the danger.
Yeah. This is something you have to build up and get into. I don't want to give people the wrong impression through my channel that this level of income is waiting for you a month down the line. I mean, it's taken me a decade to build up to this level, and whilst anybody can do this, you need to build up gradually and slowly, increase the investment and get your eBay account up to a certain standing. But all of this is achievable, but people need to approach it with caution and appreciate that they're going to have to build up step by step.
Yeah, and you don't have to do it full time. I've got several friends who earn decent incomes, but yet they still make quite a nice chunk on the side for holiday money at the weekends. They go to the car boot sale. My friend buys records and things like that, and sells them, and that pays for his holidays, and he's happy with that. He would never want to go full time, so you don't have to go full time, but I think it's a great option, really.
Absolutely. Um, the What's his name? Joe, who's started doing haul videos. He's part time and he does fantastically well out of it. And I think he said in one of his videos actually that it gives him holiday money and it buys him a holiday. And as a second income, as a second source of income, I don't think there's anything better than this because you can do it in your own time. You can do as much or as little as you want, and you can earn some really good money. I mean, if you check out Joe's videos, he makes fantastic money just doing it in the weekends and in the evenings. So yeah, it's a great idea to do it part time as well.
He's on about joining the chat one time. I mentioned it to him, so he's offered to chat to us one time to talk about sort of his processes and especially about shoes and stuff. I'd be interested to talk to him about that because he seems to get some fantastic prices.
Yeah, Yeah, well, I think part of the thing with the shoes with Joe is the area he's in, because I don't see half of that many really expensive Nikes and Adidas and all of that where I go.
Yeah,
But he's down in London, so I think it's just a different people, different area. But he finds some amazing shoes.
yeah. So yeah, although now I am myself looking at shoes and jeans and things like that, which probably isn't a good thing, but hey ho.
Um, on another subject, I know we touched on this again last time, but I've had a lot of people asking me about FBA, and I'm really not the person to ask. And for
Mm.
those of you who don't know what FBA is, if you see it coming up all the time in the comments, FBA is fulfilled by Amazon. So you can sell your stuff through Amazon. You can either list the stuff on Amazon yourself, and then when it sells, you send it out, or you can send your stock up to Amazon and they warehouse it for you and fulfill it. But I don't do that. And I just thought, Tom, maybe you could explain how that works for you, because I know you've got involved, and how you find it compares to eBay.
Yeah, it's similar but very different. It's I, 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 I do a lot of it, and for me, it's more of a time-saving thing. I started off merchant fulfilling, and I do a lot of merchant fulfill like you do, especially at the moment, just because the warehouses are so busy. If I send stuff in, it won't get processed for days and days and days. So, like, I bought some computer games from Argos the other 3 days ago, and I put them on Merchant Fulfilled, and they've sold already because Amazon have gone out of stock. So it's a fairly hot product, and all three of them have sold today, Merchant Fulfilled. But whereas if I'd send it in via FBA, by the time it got there, Amazon probably would have got it back in stock again, and I maybe wouldn't have sold them. So some things you've got to pick and choose, but the FBA, there's quite a lot of upfront costs. There's sort of a monthly, I think it's 39.99 a month to do it. Then there's $10 a month for the scanning software that I use, Profit Bandit, and um, there's something else, but and then there's storage fees, long-term storage fees, and monthly storage fees and stuff like that. So if you're going to go for it, you kind of got to go big, but it's it's worth it if you've got several hundred items to send in. It's good for brand new and sealed things, um, things like ink cartridges, toner cartridges. The prices you can get on them are just stupid. It's top full retail, and because people are purchasing these items in a way thinking they're from Amazon itself, so you're sort of piggybacking on Amazon's reputation and setting yourself apart from all the other merchant fulfilled sellers. So I've sold books for 10, £15 that all the other sellers are merchant fulfilled, and they're selling it for a penny. So it is good in that respect, but you've got to be very sort of logical and methodical, because one little slip up and they really come down on you quite hard. It's not like eBay where it's the kind of Wild West sort of flea market of the internet. This is retail, barcodes, really, you know, got to get your head sorted. But it's great. I love it to bits. It's for me, it's great because I can be off buying and doing stuff, and I look at my phone and I've sold eight books on Amazon, and I don't have to post them, nothing. I don't have to store them. So yeah, that's kind of the short about it. I could talk for hours about Amazon. Yeah.
One thing I've seen people talking about who do FBA is that they have to print off their own unique labels and label all their products and shrink wrap all their stuff. Do you have to do that with your stuff?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. So I'll show you an example here. I thought you might ask me, so I've pre-prepared. I've got this, which is I bought it the other day. Thomas and Friends official DVD and book, and this is it's new and sealed inside. It's sealed inside, but the box is open. So with something like this, you wouldn't actually be able to sell it as new. You'd have to sell it as like new. And because it's an open box as well, I've got a roll of sort of shrink wrap film, which is not too expensive. It's sort of 15, 20 quid on eBay for a massive roll, and and then I've got an impulse sealer, which is a great tool. Impulse sealers are fantastic. They're not too expensive, about 30 quid, and the, you seal the bag in, and then I just heat it up with a hairdryer, and it shrink wraps round. So you have to shrink wrap it, because if this is open, Amazon aren't going to like it, because they think that, well, I mean, things can't fall out, but they, this could open up and get damaged, or it's really got to be, nice. Or you can put it in a bag and tape it down, but then you have to put suffocation warning stickers on it, so you're not liable if some kid suffocates themselves. And then what I do is I scan this barcode into, which way? I'm the same problem as you. There we go. So scan this barcode in, and then I type in its condition. So I'd sell it as like new, and I'd put box has been opened, but contents inside are still sealed. Has been re-shrink wrapped to protect it in transit. That's just mainly so someone doesn't get it, look at it, and think, they sort of forget that they think, oh, this is a bit of a dodgy new product, and then leave you bad feedback, because people forget that they bought a like one, so you've got to make that obvious. And then when I come to the end of a shipment and the box is full, I click print labels, and then I've got a laser printer, and I've just got the A4 piece of paper with the labels on, and it generates its own label. You print it off for each product, slap it over this barcode, so it completely blocks the barcode, and it's a barcode which is Amazon's own. It's called ASIN, which is Amazon Stock Inventory Number. I think that's what it stands for, and it's just so Amazon know it's your product, and so they can locate it at all times, because this could be in one warehouse, something from something else. I've got stuff in like 4 or 5 different warehouses all over the country. So what the labels do is they track the product. So the pickers, when they go to find it, just scan it, put it in a cart, and then it goes off and gets packaged. So that's why you have to do it. You can get Amazon to do it, and they charge you, I think it's 50p per item. But if you've set up for it, it's worth doing it yourself, really.
Yeah, I did look into starting FBA a while back, and I on their website I was reading up all the pages and pages of information about it. And am I right that with brand new sealed stock you can just send it as is, because then they just use the actual barcode of the product if it's new, don't they? And they sort of they store that with all of their new products, and they just sell it from the same pallet sort of thing.
Yeah, that's called commingled inventory, and that is good for popular products, quick selling products. But I would advise against it, because what could happen is you could make the sale, and they send somebody else's out, and maybe they've been not as scrupulous, and there's a tear to the packaging, or some way it's defective, and you'd get the bad feedback for their dodgy stock. So that's where you've got to be a little bit careful.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
But
I suppose in theory they should all be new.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I still do just merchant fulfilled, and I think for what I do, that's how I'm going to carry on. But I get lots and lots of questions about what's FBA and do I recommend it and stuff. So I thought it would be helpful to get someone's opinion who's actually doing it, because I don't do it. Right, let me see.
For sort of people selling, it's going to sound pretentious, but it's not meant in that way. But people who are at our level of selling, who've got sort of the experience and sort of stuff like that anyway, because it's you've got to have all the boxes, all the tape, all the machines. So really, it's not something you can go into just straight away. But merchant fulfilled, I think it's great. I mean, you can sell it as a private individual and sell merchant fulfilled. And a great example is something you sold, which is that PS3 limited edition box thing. Did you get about £50 for it, something like that? I can't remember.
Yeah, that was
the one that.
Yeah, that was the Castlevania boxes, the PlayStation 3.
Because
yeah, I got
Yeah,
59.99 for it.
yeah. I mean, that's almost double what they're going for on eBay. It seems a lot of the time they're going for 30 to 40 on eBay. So that's the difference. And I know the fees are more, but still, it's it's good for that.
I think I just got really lucky with that one. That's the only one of those I've sold on Amazon, and but I was dead chuffed with that. The others are still sitting there. They're on eBay and Amazon, but I've only sold the one. Yeah, that was a
Yeah,
result because it cost me £16 and I sold it for 60. But just to give people an idea, I think Amazon's commission was £9.50, and then I had to send it by Hermes, which cost me about £6. Um, so once you take that chunk plus the cost of the item out of it, I didn't make masses. It was, I more than doubled my money, I think, if I remember rightly. But yeah, you always have to have a mental calculator going and work out what the fees are going to be, or you
yeah,
can get stung quite easily.
yeah. I mean, that's another subject in itself, which I could, briefly touch on. I think the problem is with a lot of sellers is not realizing the fee structure and how it properly works. And there's some great applications you can get both on Android and Apple products which are free, which help you calculate the fees for both Amazon and eBay, which I think really useful to deal with annoying adverts and things like that. But just to work out those, because quite often I'll be selling things and I think, God, let me actually work this out, and I'm making like 40p or something stupid. So yeah, so watch that.
Yeah, definitely. I remember in the really, really early days, going back to about 2000, 2001, when me and the wife were just getting into this before I was full time. I remember making some crazy, stupid mistakes selling books through Amazon. And oh, what's that noise? I don't know what that was. Um, I remember selling one of the big, chunky hardback Harry Potter books through Amazon for not much at all, and then we got a postage commission from Amazon, but the cost of the book, because it was so big and so heavy, it cost us about £4 or £5 to send through the post office. And it ended up costing us, I think, £3 to sell it.
Oh,
You know what I mean? But you only make those mistakes once, unless you're really daft. But yeah, just being aware of how much it's actually going to cost you to post an item is so key with this. Because it's not cheap, and the bigger and bulkier the stuff gets, the more expensive it gets. I mean, I'm lucky because I have the Royal Mail account, so most of my stuff goes for £2.44 because it all gets worked out on an average. I was going to ask you actually, what do you use to ship your stuff out? Are you on Royal Mail for everything, or do you use couriers for your stuff?
well, most of my stuff I still take to the post office. I'm not quite at the level where I've got enough volume to warrant. Is it called the PIP or was it PPI? I can't remember the account style you've got. So really, at the moment, I'm just taking things to the post office, and with the books and heavier books, I send those via my Herms, or if it's going internationally, what's it called? I Post Parcels, I think it's called. A subsidiary of UK Mail, which I've had awful experiences with in the past. But actually, it's been all right, to be fair. But mostly just Royal Mail for 90% of my stuff. And any big, heavier books, I send to Amazon because they have extreme discounted shipping. They have deals with UPS and things like that. So that you'll pay a couple of pounds to send a really heavy book, where you couldn't do that yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I use Hermes or Hermes, or I don't know how you pronounce it actually, for anything that's oversized or really heavy. And I think they've really improved. They had a bit of a bad rep going back 3 or 4 years, but I think they've really improved, and they're doing really, really well now. Everyone seems to be using them.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, there's close to me, within walking distance, there's a post office and an off license that accepts collections for Herms, and then within a 2-minute drive there's a UPS drop-off point where I can drop off the FBA shipment. So it's great for me. I don't have to travel far at all.
Fantastic. I don't have it too bad. I've got well, Hermes. I tend to get it collected from the door. I think I save 20p if I drop it off myself. So most of that I get picked up, and I know the guy really well now, and he's really helpful. But with Royal Mail, there's a post office just up the road, and I just take everything in sacks all ready to go and just drop it off. So that works really, really well for me. I was going to say about with the online Royal Mail account, you don't have to do massive volume. It might be worth you looking into it because you save so much on the prices, the over-the-counter prices. And I think a minimum order, an online order, is only £5, so you don't have to send much to be able to generate an order.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what do you do? Do you wait a couple of days until you've got enough? Or because for me it seems it's dribs and drabs, so I'll have one here, one there. I might sell 2 things a week. I might sell 16 things a week. It's really all over the place.
Well, at this time of year, I dispatch every day because I'm doing a sack or 2 every day. But throughout the year, when it's a lot less, I tend to ship out on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And if it's a really, really slow day and there's only 2 or 3 packets going out, it will still go over the £5 minimum. So yeah, getting orders out and being able to generate an order is never a problem. But yeah, you do have to sell enough to make it worthwhile. You're all right. Is your tablet falling down?
Yeah. Sorry.
I was going to ask.
My connection was dipping out then, so apologies if it's a bit choppy.
That's all right. I didn't notice. I was going to ask, how has this Christmas been? Have you found it a good year for sales? Did you hear that one, Tom?
Yeah. For the stuff that I used to sell a lot of jewelry and things like that. It's not been so good for the jewelry and precious metal stuff, but for things like, well, the Thomas thing and stuff like media, things like This Is Going Out, Crash Bandicoot. What's that one? The Wrath of Cortex. I got that at the weekend, and that sold within 20 minutes. And then some of these Louis Theroux weekend ones, they media stuff like that, it's gone really well. The soft toys, which I would have never ordinarily been in, have gone really well. But I think the main thing that's been going really well is it's just toys, really, toys and games. And also I've dabbled in the retail arbitrage stuff, and that's seeming to do well as well. Sort of hair dye and perfume. I mean, I've always kind of sold those when they've been on offer in Tesco or whatever. But yeah, they seem to have been going out really quick.
Yeah, it's certainly been a bumper year for us. I got loads of my brand new stuff on a bit early this year. I think I mentioned it in a video. I had, well, you'll have seen piles and piles of stuff that I bought in a clearance at Tesco, and I got it all on in October and cleared the vast majority of it then. And looking at prices now, I really jumped the gun on some of that and kind of undersold it. But it's weird. I've been obviously doing this for years and years, and getting the Christmas market just right is almost impossible. Sometimes you leave it too late and get left with stock. Sometimes you put it on too early and then regret selling it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a tricky one. It's like with the Furbies. I don't know if you've got any Furbies left. I've got a few left now, but certain patterns are already going for silly money on Amazon. I don't know if you've seen the pink spotty one. I saw going for about 30, 32.
Yeah.
I've cleared all of mine.
I've got two left, but someone bought one on eBay and they're returning it because they said they don't like it. They bought it because they thought it was one of the larger ones, um, and obviously it's not. It was the smaller one, and so they're returning it, and that's one that's a peacock feather design. I'm quite glad they're returning it because they're going for some quite good money on Amazon. So I think I'm just gonna, when it comes back, put it back on Amazon and see. But yeah, I sold them for 20 quid, and I think I probably should have waited. I've got some of the bigger Furbies. I bought two of the bigger size Furbies because they were on discount in, I think it was Argos or something like that. But I haven't sold either of those yet.
Yeah, I've only bought the little ones. Were you shocked at how small they were when you first picked them up? Because they're like this, aren't they? And you think, oh my god, I'm going to try and sell these for 20 quid, and they're like tiny little things. I thought they were much bigger because I reserved my stock on Argos when I found the deal, and I went to pick them up, and I was like, oh my god, they're tiny. I'm expecting people to get them and think, I spent 20 quid on this tiny little toy, like the customer you had actually.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
a
So, but
funny
yeah,
thing.
I've seen some of those go really well.
I was going to say, I had a few months back. I sold a colossal job lot of Trivial Pursuit card packs. Do you remember out of the Genus boxes? I think I
Yeah.
sold, I don't know how many, 30 or 40 packs of cards. So I had all of the big boxes left because I just took the 2 packs of cards out and couriered them all off to this woman who bought them all. And I kept the boxes as shipping boxes, and they're just the right size to fit one of those Furbies in. And the Furbies are in little sort of not that sturdy card boxes. So I thought I'll use up all these Trivial Pursuit boxes and put the Furbies in. So I've been doing that, and I had an email yesterday from a woman. She was irate. She was like, I ordered a Furby for my daughter for Christmas, and you sent me Trivial Pursuit. She said, I'm demanding a refund, and I'm going to send it back. So I just messaged her, and I said, try opening the box. You'll find there's a Furby inside it. So she came back and she was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, getting irate with you, blah, blah, blah. It just made me laugh. And must have sent 20 of these Trivial Pursuit boxes out with Furbies in now. So I'll probably get more messages from people really confused as to why I'm sending them boxes of Trivial Pursuit. Yeah, I had to laugh.
Uh, I've made the mistake of leaving the charity shop price sticker on something before.
Oh no.
That was a big. Yeah. Yeah. But that luckily it doesn't happen too often. I've done it mostly with eBay, but I've even done it with Amazon as well. But luckily Amazon caught it before it went out, and they just sent me a warning, slap on the wrist. Kind of.
Yeah. I was chatting to a guy on
Yeah.
the comments, a guy over in America who does a lot of retail arbitrage stuff, and he said he bought a ton of like jumpers or cardigans or something in a clearance sale, and he's sold them all on eBay and sent them all out with these great big sale stickers on saying like $10, and he'd sold them all for like $50 each or something crazy, and he said the customers were really not impressed, at how much profit he was making out of it, because it's basically telling people how much you're making out of their purchase. So yeah.
Yeah.
Touch wood, I don't think I've made that mistake yet.
Sorry.
No, I was just saying, touch
I was
wood, I
just going to say that.
don't think I've...
Go on, Nick. Sorry.
I think we keep crossing over. Yeah, I was just saying that I've not made that mistake yet, but then thinking about it, if I have, I wouldn't have known anyway unless they'd complained. But yeah, it's an easy one to do, especially with charity shops where they put the little tiny stickers on the back near the barcode or something. You can just forget it's on there if you don't rip it off. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say that it happens a lot with books as well, because a lot of charity shops, and this pisses me off, is they put a price sticker on the front. Oxfam are the worst for this. They put a price sticker on the front, they put a gift aid sticker, and then on the inside cover they write a date code and the price. But even if they do it in pencil, there's still the indentation there. So a good little tip is where if you're doing that, and if you rub it out with a rubber, take a pencil with a rubber on the end and rub on the opposite side to where it's written, and you'll push out a lot of the grooves that are there, so it makes it much harder for them to see what we paid for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I've not done that. That's a good tip. But I bought a stack of Mr. Men books at a car boot sale. I don't know, a month or so back, and I just grabbed a lot and gave them like 10p each or whatever. And I got them home and I realised that the kid had written in pen on every cover his name, and I thought, oh, that's a pain because that they're pretty much ruined. But I found with glossy covered books, if you get a regular eraser like a rubber and just rub it takes the pen off as well. So I managed to bring them all up back to new. Whereas I thought they were ruined because they were written in pen on the covers. So that was cool.
Yeah. There is a way of getting rid of marker. You can use lighter fluid or I think it's white spirit, no, rubbing alcohol to get rid of marker pen off slightly glossy surfaces as well.
Yeah, I've used just white spirit for that, like decorator's white spirit. I find just a tiny dab. You need the tiniest amount, otherwise it makes the thing stink. Just a little tiny bit on the end of your fingers, generally enough. Right, what else have I got here? I was going to say, do you tend to stockpile stuff for Christmas and save it up? Is that something you tend to do?
Yeah, I mean, I just stockpile anyway. Yeah, I think I was a squirrel in a previous life because I've just hoard stuff away for a rainy day, and it does work out. You've just got to remember to list it. But it is a nice bonus when you come across a bunch of things that you forgot about and list them and they sell. It's quite a nice feeling. I recently found some board games that I bought probably a year ago. I mean, there's like a vintage Boggle here that I've bought, and I completely forgot about it. And it's quite nice to find that. I think also if you're not spending much, if it's like 50p, 10p, it's all right to do that. But if you're laying down, I mean, I've got a box of jewellery which needs listing, and there's probably £400-500 worth of my money in that box. I really need to get it listed because it's just sitting there at the moment, not doing anything. So I think it's all right to squirrel things away if you've not got much into it.
Yeah, yeah, you're dead right. I mean, recently I've been doing a lot of retail arbitrage, and a lot of that was really quite high investment, and I was happy to do that because I knew I could turn it over quickly. It's like those Teenage Turtles packs that you might have seen. I was spending £15 a box, but I think it took me 3 or 4 days to clear all of those at 30 quid each. So something like that I wouldn't necessarily stockpile because it's a long time to wait. But then in saying that, all of the Tesco stock I waited since last March to put on this October. But then you see I managed to get probably getting on for a third or if not twice as much for it because I sold it at the right time of year. But yeah, I agree with you. Regarding stockpiling stuff that's cheap, it's nice to just put stuff away and then randomly open a box like 6 months later and go, oh, I forgot I had all this, and then stick it on, and it's great. I mean, my loft is just full of it. You wouldn't believe what's up there. I don't know what's up there, really. Just tons of random gear.
Yeah. No, I know that feeling. I mean, it's like if you've just got to make sure you store it well. I think that's the key, because I do have my cupboard of shame where things are just put in there. And I mean, we moved into this house 2 years ago, and I really have no idea what's in there. I know there's a lot of computer games. There's probably about 4 original Xbox consoles. There's about 6 PlayStation 1s in there. There's just all sorts. Anything that I just think, oh, I can't be bothered to deal with that now, has gone in there. So one day I will go through it and list them. But yeah.
Yeah, I have a bad habit of buying stuff that, again, stuff that I'm either not really into or I've got to test it, or I'm not quite sure how I'm going to describe it. So those things get shoved to the back, and I'll do that next week. I'll do that next week. But in the meantime, I bought another ton of board games, another ton of media stock, which I enjoy listing, and they're quick and they're easy. So I've got probably a couple of racks of stuff here, that just gets mothballed and sit there, and I've got loads of it, loads and loads of appliances and electrical stuff that all needs testing and cleaning and stuff that needs loads of work. So I need to change my habits, and when I get something that's a bit awkward, I need to make that the first thing I list, so it's out the way really, because I end up with tons and tons of crap that I really don't want to do, and it just builds up and up and up, which really isn't helpful. But yeah, I'm exactly the same. I've got stuff everywhere. Right. I think I've kind of run out of...
yeah, I mean... yeah, so I think with the saying about storing stuff away as well, you've just got to be. I think you've just got to be in the right place at the right time. I'm always on the lookout wherever I go. If I'm going to the post office, I'll just nip in a charity shop, or if I go to another post office which is near like a supermarket, I'll just nip in there and have a walk around. But I have desperation bought far too many times as well. So you definitely learn from your mistakes. If I've gone to a car boot sale and I didn't really see anything, I've just bought something and then thought, oh, why did I buy that? So you've got to be careful of that.
Yeah, I have to remind myself sometimes, if I'm out and it's a bad day and you don't find much, I have to remind myself of the sheer volume of stuff I've got sat at home. You know, I don't need any more stock. I really don't at the moment. And actually, because I think it's 2 weeks in a row I've not gone out and sourced stock in any real volume, and that's actually been quite refreshing. I've managed to clear this rack. Well, I did clear that rack, but it's half full again now. And it's nice to generate a bit of space and a bit of sort of breathing space, because I mean in the summer months it's just relentless. I bring so much more in than I can sell that it just gets silly. But so it's been nice actually to have a couple of weeks where I'm not bringing masses of volume into the house for a change.
Yeah, this summer has just been insane because of the good weather. I was able to go to, let's think, there's a Tuesday car boot, there's a Wednesday car boot, there's a Thursday flea market, and then there's a Saturday and Sunday car boot sales. And I'd do 2 on a Saturday, then an antiques fair, and then 3 on the Sunday. So my limitation was money, just cash flow, really. It was just insane this summer.
Yeah, it was a really good summer actually. I mean, I was tending to go out the Saturday and the Sunday, and I would get about £200 out for the Saturday, and inevitably spend most of that, and then go and get another 200 out on the Sunday, and sometimes spend all of that as well. So I was spending ridiculous amounts of money, but it's really paid off. And I got really big into board games this year, and I just love that market so much. I think it was 20 or 30 on last Thursday and Friday, and sold virtually all of them over the weekend. And I was just amazed. They were going up to £20 each on the really good ones, and most of those were costing me £1. So it was just like printing cash on those ones. The really good Simpsons Monopolies and stuff like that. Amazing money.
I mean, I never used to bother with board games because I couldn't be bothered to check all the pieces. It was simple as that. But I still do buy them. I had a really good time. I haven't uploaded the video, but I went to an indoor car boot sale, and a guy was selling board games for 50p each, and I spent 20 board games off him. So yeah, 20 board games. I paid £10, so I got 20 board games off him, and it was like older from sort of the 90s. It was like Kaplunk, Downfall, Twister, and they weren't mint. They were used, but they were all there, and I mean that's going to be stupid money once I put them all on there.
Yeah, definitely. It can be a pain to check them. I mean, things like Monopoly, for example, you've got to check that they've got all the 28 deed cards and the 16 chance cards, etc., and the right amount of houses and all of this. But once you get into a routine, it's 5 minutes max, not even that per game. And I think it's the collector and the kind of hobbyist in me that loves doing all of that anyway. I kind of get off on all of that bizarrely. So for me, it's not too much of a chore, but I can understand. I mean, for certain people, it might be a step too far to get into board games because also you can't check most of them while you're there. You can't check them in charity shops because half the time they take them up. And at a car boot sale, you're not going to spend 5 minutes looking through the whole game. I mean, I have done, to be honest, but most of the time you can't spend the time looking because you want to be getting around the boot sale. So I make loads and loads of mistakes with board games. Well, not mistakes, but I buy ones that are incomplete. But then I've got so many incomplete ones now in stock that I can complete them when I find them now.
Yeah, I think that's good, but I mean, saying about that, charity shops, excuse my language, piss me off because when they tape them up, I mean, just the tape never comes off properly without pulling it off. So then that means I have to sell them on eBay. I can't sell them on Amazon. So yeah, it just drives me mad. And the amount of charity shops that say something's complete and it's not is just stupid. So yeah, that does irritate me. But
Yeah, the amount of times the charity shop label says checked and complete. So, so you buy it and then you get it home and it's not even got half the bits in. You think, so who's checking this game? And I showed in my video I bought a Tomy pinball game that said fully tested on the label, and I actually asked them to open it in the shop because I wanted to check the condition, and it had these massive chunky batteries in, and there was all battery acid coming out of them. They're all crusted, and it was like, well, you clearly haven't tested this thing because it's still got manky old batteries chucked in it. So I don't know why they put checked on when they haven't checked it. It's just blatantly lying half the time.
yeah, I mean, yeah, you just got to be. I do get quite frustrated in charity shops because I mean, yeah, people are working as volunteers there, or they're people who aren't working anyway, and sometimes you do get some odd characters working there, so it can be difficult at times. Um, Definitely.
Yeah.
I've also stopped buying jigsaw puzzles as well. I've got a stack of about 15 jigsaw puzzles, each with 1,000 pieces in, um, and I just haven't got the time to check them.
No, no, they're a bit of a pain. I've bought a few opened ones recently, the 3D ones. I've actually just sold another one today for really good money, actually. I think it was 12, £13 that went for, and it cost me 50p. But that was a 750-piece one or something, and that was a pain to count. It really was. So I tend to only buy them sealed because like you, I really don't have the time and can't be bothered to check them. So yeah, jigsaws, I'm not that keen, to be honest.
Yeah, I'll get the sealed ones because they can be good money. You just got to be careful because places like Aldi and Lidl sell jigsaw puzzles, and they're just not worth anything at all, really, even sealed.
No. Right, I'm going to have to make a move soon. So do you want to wrap this up
Yeah,
and
no
we'll do it
worries.
again sometime?
And as well, for next time, if anybody wants to ask any questions in the comments box, and maybe next time we can address them, or if there's anything that people want to talk about, anything specific or like that, just drop a comment.
Yeah, absolutely. Leave your comments and any suggestions for future topics below, and we'll try and do another one of these probably sometime after Christmas. So yeah, if I don't speak to you,
Yeah.
Tom, have a fantastic Christmas and wish you all the best.
Yep, same to you, and I'll take you up on that offer of a beer after Christmas for sure.
Fantastic. You're more than welcome. Okay, well, thanks for chatting to me, Tom, and take care, mate, and I'll see you soon.
See you soon. Bye.